So let me get one of the more fun questions out of the way. What is my sexuality? I consider myself to be asexual, as sex, I guess you could say, kind of disgusts me to a certain extent, or rather the idea of having it turns me away. However, fetishes are things that infinitely fascinate me, as I find it to be interesting to see where the weird of the world begins and how far it goes. I will say there are some I enjoy more than others, certainly though. Now, that said, I know fetishes are not for everyone, and some people may also be turned away or disgusted by them. And on occasion, while browsing art from people I legit think can draw well, who happen to draw fetish art, I will occasionally find people who happen to stumble across these pictures and happen to voice their distaste in the rudest of ways. And honestly, that just kind of pisses me off whenever I see it. Which brings me to today's target. Mr. Medicare. Some of you may know him as the pioneer of commentaries. Some of you know him as Jim81Jim or the Internet Aristocrat. Someone who helped popularize Gamergate. And likes to just be an overall shitposter. Here's the thing though, there's only so much you can do with wanting to roast someone before it begins to feel dirty. And this is where the following video comes in, as Mr. Medicare started a new series called Deviant Is, or Deviants, where he looks at fetishes posted on DeviantArt and roasts the shit out of them in a Let's Riff style video. But he still brings up points against these fetishes, so I feel this can still be covered in a video, as I feel the way he went about this video left a rather sour taste in my mouth.
Welcome one and all to the 8th episode of Tumblr. Wait a minute, this isn't Tumblrisms, this is Deviants. The first episode to be exact. This is Pump Me Up. And that's not a euphemism. That is not a euphemism for being excited. You may be asking yourself, as you slowly unzip your pants because you know what's coming, Jim, why would we be looking at DeviantArt? And what could Pump Me Up possibly refer to? Well, it refers to inflation, and I'm not talking about the monetary kind. I'm talking about a very special kind of inflation that's only found in the minds of degenerate motherfuckers.
Degenerate. Having lost the physical, mental, or moral qualities considered normal and desirable, showing evidence of decline. You know what this implies, Jim? You're implying these people have a declining sense of morality. You're implying these people are near immoral, which is a wonderful thing to imply when you're referring to people who express a fetish in a safe way, minus one example that you do bring up later in the video. But still, that's one example, yet you're sitting here generalizing a whole group of people who are into this by calling them immoral. Already, you're showing me how much you are ready to mock people just because they love the idea of being inflated like a balloon.
Now, if you were to go on to DeviantArt and just do a search, you would get 139,008 results for inflation, along with the knowledge that God is dead.
Actually, with the safe filter on, you just get under 100,000 results. But let's increase the numbers a bit and make it seem like it's a huge, horrifying thing. Also, Jim, you're asking your viewers to go out of their way to do this. You're asking them to go and search for this stuff. A normal browser of DeviantArt will more than likely see this kind of stuff on their newest page, not inflation. This isn't some sort of epidemic, you know.
For an added bonus, make sure to click on that box that says Make Mature Content Visible, because you want it to be as awkward as fucking possible when your parents walk into the room as you're looking at this.
Again, you're telling them to go out of their way to find this. This already makes your whole thing about inflation art flimsy at best, because DeviantArt tends to filter that stuff to its own corner of the website, so those who do enjoy it and want to see it can find it and enjoy it. I mean, it's their kink after all, not yours. And you going out of your way to find this, to hassle them for this stuff, is almost borderline harassment, Jim.
By simply just scrolling through the results that you get, even with the mature content filter off, you get a good idea of what you're dealing with. Now, a few thoughts are going to cross your head as you're looking through this cornucopia of artistic talent. The first probably being, why on God's earth did I ever search up inflation on DeviantArt? That's going to quickly be followed by a sense of deep, deep shame, and that is how it should be. Another thought that will probably cross your mind as you're looking through this is a bit of awestruck wonder that there are actually people in the world that masturbate to this. No matter how fucked up your fetish is, no matter how embarrassing it may be to you, there is somebody out there that gets turned on by this. So feel a little better about yourself.
Jim, it's funny how you're trash-talking inflation because you're clearly into inflating your ego. Whee!
Now I can't move to reach the air tank. Well, great. Just my luck. The expanding feeling is just too great. I don't really think I want to stop. However, I'm starting to feel pretty full, and now I think I'm going to pop. Well, how about a round of applause for our poet laureate, Master Mindtaker? I can imagine the comments they got on this wonderful piece of art, this expressive piece of literature. They must have been just inundated with people throwing roses at their feet. Like Forest Girl 123 from February 25th, 2013. Haha, this is the funny side I've heard of it. Good one.
Or this comment, clearly praising this, and I quote, creepy fetish girl after saying she died afterwards. And that's before this video where people came to her conveniently through your video to basically prod at the flames a little bit more. Yeah, there's people praising the poem, but that's mainly because those people are into that kink and went out of their way to find people who share that kink. Simply put, they went to find like-minded people that share an interest with them. I mean, would it be wrong for a bunch of sports fans to congregate together and talk about sports? Would it be wrong for two people who think blondes are hot to get together and talk about blonde chicks? Well, I mean, I guess so, because that's normal, huh, Jim?
Do you think that Yoshi gets embarrassed when he poos out eggs in front of Mario? Sorry if that offends anyone, but I thought it was a funny thing. Haha.
Why would someone asking about Yoshi laying eggs offend anyone, first of all? Second, this is a fictional story that's meant to be a little silly. It's obviously meant for the sake of humor. If it wasn't, they'd actually go out of their way to talk about popping. Gee, for a video that wants to focus on riffing, you are sure taking this whole fetish seriously. Try again.
I mean, just look at this beautiful picture, entitled Moonbeam, a character I created named Moonbeam. The reason behind her giant tummy that makes her look pregnant? Well, you see, she's a young witch that lives inside of a gingerbread mansion. Not a house, a mansion. She lures foolish and usually bratty, never innocent or good travelers, into her home to fatten them up, and then turns them into food to eat. Of course, as you can see, that's sort of taken a toll on her figure. Her belly's grown so big for so long now, she's actually beginning to even feel pregnant too. I also wanted to take a shot at drawing a character on the side. Does it look good? Now, I'm not an art critic, but maybe some of my viewers are. If you would be so inclined to visit Master Mindtaker's page and take a look at Moonbeam here, maybe you could leave a comment telling them how good it looks. I'm sure they would enjoy the positive feedback from you.
Fuck you. You are actively telling your viewers, hey, go harass this kid who basically draws inflation because I don't like it. This isn't a term I throw around lightly, but you are starting a lynch mob, Jim. Singling a person out and telling people to target this person's page, and from what I can tell, it hasn't quite gotten out of hand yet, but the fact that you are even suggesting such a thing is legit the scummiest thing that I've heard in a while. If you wanted to riff on the art, that's one thing, but I cannot sit here and enjoy someone who is advocating for cyber harassment. And that's all the rest of this video is, just going page to poke at people and tell his viewers to check these people out in a very snarky, sarcastic manner that really tells me he just wants to start some flames on DeviantArt. I don't wish to know what the future holds for these people, just staying to themselves and not hurting a fly, only to get people coming to their page to get kicked in the balls because some guy with 83,000 plus subscribers didn't like the subject matter of their art. It's like if they were legit doing some awful things on DeviantArt, sure, call them out. There are people who legit need calling out. But if all they're doing is going to the one place that'll allow them to actually express themselves to do just that, then at that point you're just another blatant cyberbully. Alright, I won't be making any fans for this video, but I think it has to be said at one point or another, and due to the topic of today's commentary, I think it's pretty goddamn relevant.